Welcome to On the Spot Review. I know I've not done this in a long time. I might do a special On the Spot Review where I just kind of recap all the movies I did not get to do a formal review on. But for now, I'm just going to focus on one movie, and that is Best Friends. Now, before I get into the review, I just want to say something. If you're interested in watching this movie after this review, or if you're just interested in seeing this movie to begin with, I would recommend checking the website that I'll put in the description below, where you could check out where the movie's playing, because this has a very weird release. Only like select theaters have it on certain days at certain times. So I really recommend checking the website before kind of trying to find on your own, because the showtimes are very weird and not really easily accessible, unfortunately, for this movie. So please check that site out if you really want to see this movie, because it is worth seeing in my opinion. Now, let's get into the review. Best Friends is a movie with Tommy Wiseau and Greg Sestero. Greg Sestero is a writer and a producer of this movie, and I don't remember the director's name, unfortunately. But let's get into the thick of this movie. It's a really fun movie. I really enjoyed this movie. It is a off the wall, hilarious, unique movie, and I'm not saying unique in the way that's like, oh, it's so bad, guys. It was actually a genuinely good movie. It wasn't a movie that's gonna be like, oh, it's gonna go to the Oscars or anything like that, obviously. But it's a very fun movie, and it's very rewarding as both a longtime fan of Tommy Wiseau, or if you love The Room. There's stuff in this movie that kind of references The Room, but it's not to the point where it feels forced or inorganic. The references to The Room feel more of an homage and just kind of a subtle hint that's there for the fans. This movie, in a lot of ways, feels like a love note to the fans, because this movie is just a lot of fun. You can definitely tell, even with the movie, that everyone involved just loved being there. Everyone gave their best into this movie, and you really get a very solid movie that's fun to watch, and it's really rewarding. Part of me really wants to go back and see this movie again. If it wasn't for the weird release that it had, it was a very fun movie. It's split into two parts. There's a volume one and a volume two. Volume two that's coming out in June. I do recommend seeing Volume One, obviously, but as a first movie into this little two-parter, it really works in a standalone movie. You don't really need to see The Room. You don't really need to know who Tommy Wiseau is to understand this movie. Where it's not like The Disaster Artist, where you kind of have to see The Room to kind of appreciate the disaster artist. This movie can be enjoyable just on its own. You don't really need any of these like extensions of Tommy Wiseau's universe to really appreciate it. The story, it's about this homeless man named John who comes across Tommy Wiseau, who plays this mortician named Harry. And this guy, and Harry's position in this movie is that he takes dead bodies, he wants to make them pretty, he wants to please the dead, or whatever. He plays a very weird character that's just really out there, and that's to the benefit of Tommy Wiseau, because it really works with his acting and his kind of personality. And it's not like he's being typecasted either. It's not like, oh, he's just gonna be Tommy saying, oh, you're tearing me apart, or anything like that. His character is a very weird character in a lot of ways, and it benefits the role, um, where it feels natural and it doesn't feel forced, and it is really, it's a great chemistry between Harry and John, who's Greg Sestero. They balance off each other very well, and you definitely get this tension that builds up throughout the movie. The pacing of the story is given in a very slow pacing, where at first, when I first was starting to watch it, I was like, I don't know if this is going to be a great movie, because it's very slow, where it's like, okay, Greg isn't talking for a while, and it's just, you don't really see the grip of this movie, but by the end, or even the halfway point, it really starts to pay off. And in a lot of ways, it's a slow burn movie, where as the movie goes on, you really start to feel that there's a tension going on that's starting to form, and it's very gripping. And the tension kind of comes out in a way that Greg Sestero's character John starts selling these golden teeth that Tommy's character starts to collect from these corpses, and Greg starts selling these teeth to other dentists, and it becomes this whole thing where it feels like a drug deal, Like instead of them selling drugs, they're selling gold teeth, and it's very unique in that kind of way. And the cinematography kind of goes with that. Where some of the shots that you see feel like that they're just kind of like these artistic photographs almost, are just kind of thrown into the movie to kind of have this sense of atmosphere and tone, and everything in this movie kind of synergizes into this very unique flow where you get nice cinematography, you get very interesting dialogue between these characters, and everything really works. It plays with expectations in a lot of ways. There's a scene in this movie. By the way, we're gonna get to spoiler talk, so if you don't really want spoilers, I'll put the timestamp to skip ahead to just my overall thoughts of the movie. So you've been warned. There's a scene where Greg Sestera's character has a girlfriend. The girlfriend finds out that he's making a lot of money. Oh, she starts to put together this weird kind of job that John is starting to works in, and usually in movies when a significant other or a partner finds out that, oh, this guy might be doing something illegal, it's always this, oh no, look, this isn't what you think, and there's this big like dramatic scene. But this movie just warps that expectation to something completely different, where John's character is just kind of like, no, no, look, I know what you're thinking. Yeah, it looks weird, but it's not illegal. We're selling teeth. Like it plays against that expectation so well, and instead of the relationship, kind of breaking apart between John and his girlfriend, it kind of gets together even more, and they both kind of like work together to get his money, because at that point in the movie, Harry starts to kind of keep the money for himself. He hasn't been sharing his part of the money with John, and John kind of wants to get his worth back. He wants to get a share. So I thought it was very unique that instead of just playing against this expectation of like, oh, okay, this is gonna be where his girlfriend, he's like, oh, you're doing something illegal, and then she walks out, and this and that. Instead, it's just like this goofy scene where John's like, nah, no, look, listen, like, and it works. It doesn't feel out of place. It doesn't feel over the top. It oddly fits the tone and the characters. Like it and that's what I mean with this movie, that everything in it really works for the movie's benefit and the story. Like Tommy's character works in a lot of ways. The way that he acts, portrays the character, gives the character more of a personality. It kind of makes it seem more coherent in a lot of ways, and it makes the whole movie just kind of shine, and has a lot of charm put into it just with the acting alone. So I really enjoyed it, and the ending. Oh my god, this ending was just a fever dream. It was like, the whole movie was solid and straightforward with what it was trying to, go about. But then when you get to the end, it's just like, the director and everyone involved decided to take acid all of a sudden, because it starts getting very abstract in a lot of ways, and it's very unique where at this point it kind of starts leading into oh, we're gonna see volume two. Volume two is gonna pick up from where this is, and it's gonna start making sense of everything, and that is gonna be very, very interesting. It leaves you wanting to see where the movie is gonna go with volume two, and it doesn't do it in a way where it feels cheap. That's the other thing I was afraid of. When you have movies that already sell a sequel to you, it's like, oh, is this gonna be this bullshit cliffhanger and whatever, but it earned it. It earned a second part. Like, it didn't feel like, oh, we just kind of added filler and this and that. It actually felt like it deserved to have a second part. And that's really how weird the ending is. I can't even describe the ending in this review. And I know we're going to like spoilers here, but I can't really describe it because it's so weird what I witnessed. Because there's these jump backs to other scenes in the movie. There's these dubs in it. It was really, really fucking weird, and I can't really put it into words other than it makes sense visually. When you watch it, you'll understand what the fuck I mean, and you'll understand kind of what the movie's trying to say. but it's so weird and out of left field that you're just gonna be like, what the fuck did I just watch? So I that's it for spoilers. We're done with that. But now let's get into the overall opinion of this movie. The soundtrack is amazing. I think the soundtrack just adds personality to it. It has this very synthetic vaporwave type feel to it, and it really fits the movie. Everything in this movie fits so well that I've never seen a movie incorporate so many weird oddball things in a collection of a movie and have everything work. Like that is out of my expectations, because usually when you have a movie and it's trying to incorporate all these weird things, you'd expect the movie to kind of fall apart at the seams or whatever. But this movie really worked with all the oddball decisions it chose, and I loved them. I loved everything about this movie. I think the only thing I might criticize it on would be the pacing. As I said, yeah, it's a slow burn kind of build. Like, it builds and builds and builds, but I just feel like it could be a little bit quicker in some parts. But other than that, I love this movie. It's definitely worth checking out. If you have the opportunity to see this movie, please go see it. The movie is full with passion and love and just a lot of fun. Like, you could definitely tell everyone in that movie loved it, loved working with it. It was a great movie. Everything, all of the love and fun of filmmaking is in this movie, and everyone involved in it really enjoyed it. So I highly recommend this movie. I really loved it. I love this movie a lot in a lot of ways. And I'm gonna say this as well. Sit through the credits. The credits are short, but it is worth it. By the end of the credits, you're gonna definitely see even more love and appreciation for people who watch this movie. This movie is truly a love note to everyone that loves Tommy Wiseau films and just everything. This movie is amazing. It's one of my favorites of this year so far. It's up there with Annihilation, which is surprising, but I love this movie. Please check this movie out. Please, it is definitely worth checking out. My final rating for this movie is a 9 out of 10. Check it out. It is definitely worth your time. And I cannot wait personally for Volume 2. I have some theories as to what it's going to be about, but I'm not going to share them in this video. Thank you for watching this video. Please check out Best Friends. It's a really good movie. Thank you. See you in the next one.